Early game, I set up a continuous production area. One of the building patterns that I use for this is essentially two assemblers facing each other, feeding into boxes. Okay, so you can lay them out using this very simple 3 assemblers in a row, and then we replace the middle assembler with power pole and put power poles on the end. The reason we put so many power poles on, and we're using wooden power poles because this is early game, is that by placing them in the middle, the coverage area extends past the edge of the assembler. So by having one there, there and there, I think you can see that all of the edges for the assembler on both sides will have power. That means we can put inserters on any of the 3 positions, and we can use any type of inserter. So early game, these are the 2 you're going to have. You're going to have yellow inserters, the regular ones, and the long-handed inserters. But obviously later on, you're going to get fast inserters as well, and of course you just swap those in. Now what this allows you to do is grab resources 3 rows of belts on either side. So what I mean by that is we can have a belt coming down here, here, and here, across here, here, and here, and we can very, very simply access all of those. Now, the first 2 are obvious. Those give us access to the most the closest belt, and these give us access to the second closest belt with no problems. Now, the third one's a little less obvious, but a long-handed inserter actually has access. It grabs from 2 away and puts 2 in. So what you can actually do is very simply take a underground, put that on either side. Now we can actually do this later on with bots more easily. You can use the quick replace functions, but obviously we don't have that early game. So put it there. Of course it's now unpowered, but you've also got a gap here. What you can actually do is you can put 2 in a row like that, and therefore these will both grab there, and then you've got another one free like that. So that gives you access to, and very simply, nice and easily, 3 lanes of material basically. You can get access to a 4th, and you could do that with a little trick with a splitter as well. So we can do this, we can put a splitter in, and now this one, if we also put an underground there, can access that there, because that will take a split of whatever on the 4th belt, and so that gives us access there. If we put that there and that there, for example, we can have all sorts of access to all sorts of material, and of course belts can have 2 sides, so in theory this gives you easy access to 16 different materials. Now you're not going to be making things quickly with this system. The whole principle of this is it's about just making some of everything. You would fill these belts with anything you want. I would typically do an entire lane of iron, an entire lane of copper, half a lane of gears, half a lane of pipes, green circuits, and then maybe things like coal, stone, iron, ore, which you use in various recipes and things that you want. So that's how you get material into these assemblers. What do you do with the assemblers? Well, let's say we wanted to make transport belts, okay? Now, we would have gears on the bus, so that might be on the 2nd lane, for example, and the iron plate might be on the 1st lane. So there we would get the material in. And then what we do in the centre here is we have 2 boxes. I generally use wooden boxes. You can obviously use any box you like. Eventually, you would want to upgrade these to logistics type boxes, either passive providers or what have you, so that bots can access them. But to start off with, you want just basic chests. This allows you to do this pattern of building. Okay, I generally put a light here so that when it's dark and before we've got night vision goggles, we can see what's going on, and that tells me that these boxes have got something in. You want to limit these chests, hard limit them. And you can do that by simply setting the value there. Say we wanted belts is something we want in high volume, so we might want an entire row of belts, so that'd be 1,000 belts. Something else we might want to do, we might want to do underground belts, and therefore we might only want, say, 100 of those, so we limit that chest there. One of the things with this, the advantages of this system is you can pass through items. So one of the reasons I picked the undergrounds here is they use regular transport belts, okay? Now we don't really want to put those on the bus, or minibus rather, and send those round. So what we can do instead is simply replace that light with an inserter. Maybe you want to put a light in so we know there's a box there. But that allows you to pass through the material. So then we've got a nice easy production of that, and you can imagine doing very, very similar on the other side. So if we go like this, we could perhaps have another assembler here. The power poles gets quite messy when you're at level 1 power poles. And so this would maybe allow us to build splitters. So we put them in there. Maybe we only want a stack of splitters. Because we're already storing some up here, we might only want to limit that to, say, two stacks. We put a light on so we know that it's there. And then, of course, this one we need to feed with green circuits, iron plate and what have you. So that's the basic principle. That one needs iron plate as well, so that might be on the first row. So that then we've made a very, very, very simple setup in order to build 3 items that we're going to want. Again, to repeat, it's not going to be fast, it's not going to produce them at a massive speed, but it will produce some. So while you're away making other things, killing biters, building power, what have you, you can basically get it to store up all of these items. So that's one of my design principles, essentially, is this minibus approach early game combined with the assembler setup here. This was quite messy and not very quick in the end. I'm trying these out. Let me know if these are useful. It is in more of a improv, off-the-cuff type style, which I usually script a lot of my stuff. So if you like this type of format, if this is useful to you, then please do let me know, and I'll try and do some more in this style.